All right, so welcome to game two between Mass versus Rocker. It is going to be another PVZ after Rocker took an early lead for vVv on MLG Antigua Shipyard. Remember, Antigua Shipyard is still available since it was the opening map, and the rest of the maps can only be played once more as Rocker spawns on the top right-hand side of the map as the purple Protoss. Meanwhile, Mass spawning as the red Zerg on the bottom left-hand side of the map.
Yeah, so very cross positions here. There's a lot of different spawn locations on this map, or a lot of different situations where one player is in a kind of a rotational spot compared to the other, and they're able to take advantage of that cliff by their opponent's base to really harass the natural. But we don't really have any of that here because we do have the pure cross positions, like you mentioned. And I imagine that Mass will be going for an early pool and an early two base, probably not an early three base. Like we said, the rocks pretty difficult to deal with early on, and taking a third base out across the map is just leaves you really vulnerable to any sort of gateway timing attack. You can very easily lose that third. Rocker has placed that pylon in the position where he's going to go for that Forge Fast Expand, or we'll see whether he goes for the Nexus first this time, or whether he places down a Forge first. I thought it was an interesting decision last game.
I think when he finds that it is going to be a full cross spawn, and also because of the scouting time needed, a drone will be forced to be a little bit lost for a little bit longer before he finds his opponent. We may see a Nexus first come in. We are going into a spawning pool first coming in from Mass, though, so this more tells me that Mass wants to play more of a queen opening. He's going to have two queens by the time that second hatchery opens up, as Rocker coming up the ramp will get a lot of crucial information, noticing the early pool, noticing no gas. And with this, I would be shocked if Rocker didn't go for Nexus first, as he did go for Nexus first, even when he thought it was going to be Extractor pool.
Yeah, so the Nexus will go down as he does have 400 minerals, and like you said, spawning pool first coming from Mass, but interesting thing is no gas, unlike his teammate Fuzzy, who went sort of gas early on there. Mass is not going for gas, and that's going to allow him to really focus on his mineral economy. He's going to be able to get out a ton more drones, and he's going to be able to get out an extra queen or so without investing in that both that extractor and the drones to be mining the gas early on there. At some point he's going to have to add gas because you definitely want speed, especially on a big map like this, but more and more Zergs are delaying that gas, knowing that, hey, my opponent's probably Forge Fast expanding. That gateway or warp gate tech is not going to be finishing for several more minutes, and I don't really need speed before that.
So we'll see what's going to be coming here. It looks like Mass still deciding not to get any gas, and I think he's just really comfortable. Zerg is a little bit blind at this stage. If they do see a lot of units being placed down, perhaps even some sort of strange foregate, they would really have to rely on spine crawlers. But I haven't seen a foregate really come out from a Protoss player against Zerg in a lot of time. Zerglings finally making their way out yet, but Mass is still pretty much playing in the dark. He has not gotten a single unit into Rocker's base. He doesn't know about the Forge Fast expansion, as we see also Mass now going into that third base a little bit more exposed at the 6 o'clock position and establishing that very early. Rocker may not catch this ninja expansion.
Yeah, I have to imagine that if Rocker scouts that, he's really going to take advantage of. I mean, just look how far it is from the other bases, the natural and the main especially, and no creep spread early on here. Quite yet by Mass. I mean, he really can't afford the energy at this point. So if Rocker sends a probe down there and checks for a quick third, he could just send, a few zealots, a few stalkers down there. Might even be able to take out that hatchery before any lings or roaches is able to make their way over.
Yeah, we'll see what's going to be happening next. The probe now making its rounds, just walking around the center. It looks like the Zerglings may be able to catch up to that probe. Nope, the Zergling simply is going to walk by, as Mass now nearing completion on that ninja expansion, and it will really come down to whether or not this ninja expansion is successful. Mass will get a very, very large mid-game advantage, and it's really going to affect his Mutalisk count if he does go for Mutalisk, as he's going to have that additional two extractors, these two additional geysers, giving him about an extra 250 gas a minute.
Yeah, he's just now establishing two extractors back at home. He doesn't have them saturated quite yet, so his speed's going to be pretty delayed here. I'm not sure whether it would be done in time for a warp gate timing, but it looks like Rocker probably not going to be going for that sort of play. He is getting a third and fourth gas, so going to be going pretty techy, and I'm interested to see what his tech route's going to be here. I know he definitely likes DTs, though I'm not sure whether he'd go DTs right off the bat. If he does, though, the DTs could make quick work of that third.
Yeah, comparing this game to last game though, right now, Rocker is not in that good of a situation. You can see Mass currently having 8 larvae and a drone advantage right now, 43 to 40, and those larvae will be able to just pump out a lot more units and getting another round of spawn larvae going, as well as the harvester count is going to jump into probably the low 50s in the next 30 seconds or so. Sentries are trying to shoot down this overlord that's sitting inside the base, but somehow that little pedestal giving enough high ground advantage where the sentry really can't see it, unable to do any damage there. As the zealots, did they actually scout? Yes, they did scout out that 6 o'clock expansion.
Yeah, so he knows about that, and Rocker's actually taking another quick third himself. So he's going to be setting up this third in the eastern position, the 3 o'clock position. He's got 2 cannons here and 1 gateway, trying to offer a little bit of protection to those cannons. But right now, that is a pretty open and vulnerable expansion for Rocker as well. But there's no speed for Mass, and he just finished his Roach Warren. The no roaches are out at the moment, 4 on the way. But I think Rocker is going to be able to get up this Nexus. And it looks like he will be going for that Twilight Council, possibly the same sort of blink play that he did last time. And 3-gate Blink Stalker with heavy upgrades can be a very good build against a lot of builds that Zerg goes for. Zerg metagame currently is either Mutaling or oftentimes that Roach mix, and Blink Stalkers with heavy upgrades very good against both those builds. We hardly ever see Infestors added in mass like we used to see before the heavy Infestor nerf. So Mass, if he wants to deal with these Blink Stalkers and now the DTs which come out, might have to add some Infestors.
All right, a Dark Shrine is coming out now, so, and also getting a robotics facility. We'll see what will come of this, and I'm just curious, what Infestor nerf are you talking about?
The less damage on fungal growth. It was a while ago, but for a while, Protoss players are doing the Infestor Ling style, where taking map control and like heavy creep spread and lots of counterattacks and burrowed infestors, but the death ball is a little bit less easy to deal with when the infestors don't do as much damage with the fungal growth.
All right, we'll see what's going to happen now as roaches are making their way out. The zealots do need to run. The roaches don't have the movement speed upgrade. Neither do the zealots, as the zealots running at the even speed there. Rocker currently sitting on 67 probes compared to 75 drones, but Mass with 16 larvae should be able to build the proper counter unit in just a moment's notice, as Rocker is now behind by about 15 food.
And here come the DTs at that 6 o'clock expansion. Like I said, that's going to go down pretty quickly here, and it looks like Mass not going to be able to defend that. A few more DTs are going around the map, just looking to wreak some havoc and checking to see whether a fourth has been established at the rocks, and just using these DTs right now for some free scouting. And he took down that third, and that's a great investment. Looks like he's got 4 DTs out right now, and they did their job. Right now, Mass on 2 base, Rocker on 3 base, and that is not a great position for Zerg. He is about to finish his Spire, so we'll see what he's able to do with these. The Muta's about to come out. He does have a ton of gas, 1,300 left or saved up by Mass, so 13 Mutas on the way.
Yeah, 13 mutas, that's definitely going to add a very nice number. Dark Templar is now trying to clean up Roach's Mass. Does he know about that expansion? No, he still doesn't know about that expansion. An Overseer needs to get over there. The Overseer does move fairly quickly, fast enough where the Roaches were able to take down those Dark Templar. And now a new hatchery will be established, but Rocker setting up another Dark Templar, may be able to take it down as it's trying to be built, and Mass is going to be forced to cancel it once more.
Yeah, he's sort of struggling to have detection all over the map right now. He's got this one Overseer that might actually make it there, so it looks like, yes, he will save that hatchery. He has yet to kind of throw down a fourth. A lot of times, Zerg players, especially when they're floating 2,500 minerals, will put down a double expo, and here it comes. So he's going to get a third and a fourth at the same time, trying to retake that 6 o'clock. And now we have Mutas in the main of Rock, and we'll see whether he's able to handle him.
Rocker going in for a lot of pylons all of a sudden. Not quite sure what that was about, as the probes are now trying to run away. Sentries, Guardian Shields do come over in time. Stalkers trying to catch up. The Stalkers do have 2-0 upgrades, so it's a very similar build. And Immortal now trying to run away, but unable to do so, as the front door is only being powered by one pylon. The Mutalisks did fly past this 3 o'clock expansion. It was spotted, and no Mutalisks were killed, though. Just a lot of damage suffered, as roaches are now hanging around nearby at the 6 o'clock location, making sure that another Dark Templar doesn't stop the 6 o'clock location, as Mass now has 3 bases and drones being transferred finally over to what would normally be the natural 3rd base.
Some very interesting decisions by Rocker. When those mutas hit his main, he had 4 stalkers, and he basically had a very, very small army. He had 86 probes, so he's basically been doing what a Zerg player does, and just probing up or droning up, being very minimalistic with their units that they're making, and he basically made those stalkers on demand. He said, okay, I see mutas, I'm going to start pumping stalkers, and those mutas weren't able to do enough damage before the stalkers could come out. Now Mass moving across the field here with these roaches. They do have roach speed, and he's going to try to use roaches and mutas, but there is an Archon out. It's doing great splash damage on these mutas. A nice blink there by those stalkers, able to take down the majority of those mutas, and Rocker clearly coming out ahead in this exchange, 169 to 130.
Yeah, that was a beautiful exchange by Rocker, splitting up the roaches and then using the splash damage coming in from the Archons. And a pylon still stays alive, so Rocker is going to be able to continue to reinforce, continue to warp in more and more stalkers there. It looks like the high ground pylon at the 6 o'clock location has been destroyed. But Mass has to be very careful about transferring any drones there, as that is going to be very, very vulnerable. And now units are just getting caught in transit, roaches getting destroyed, and now Rocker pretty much feels like, hey, I got enough units to simply walk inside your base. What are you going to do about it?
And Rocker has 93 probes behind this, so he's on 4 base compared to the just now established 4 bases of Mass, and he is doing damage here. Nice force fields going down, going to trap a lot of those roaches, and there's the GG coming quickly from Mass. And it's strange, both these Zerg players, I mean, I know a lot of times you feel like you've lost, and I agree with the GG timing for both players, but they didn't even wait for many buildings to go down in either case. Both Fuzzy and Mass saw the writing on the wall, saw Rocker push out with that big upgraded heavy stalker-based army, and they just GG'd.
Yeah, I think Rocker was just spot on in terms of his gameplay, and also the fact that he kept all of his resources low, where you would normally think like he was really responsive with his stalkers, where he's like, you know what, I only have 4 stalkers, in comes Mass Mutalisk, now I'm gonna warp in a whole bunch of stalkers. Even though he continually did that, where he didn't get his units until he needed them, his average unspent resources was still 650. He had 89 probes. That's just absolutely brilliant. A Protoss player actually having more workers created than a Zerg in a 16-minute game. That's almost unheard of.
Yeah, his macro and his decision making has just been so good. I mean, a lot of times the Zerg player is the one that forces the macro game, that tries to get safe expansions, but Rocker's just taking expansions at what looked like pretty strange timings and without a lot of units to back up, but no Zerg player is really challenging him and taking advantage, crushing that 3rd with a big wave of roaches. Rocker is really just waiting to defend against Mutalisks, and does so with upgraded Blink Stalkers, and then pushes out off 3 or 4 bases and crushes his opponent.
All right, so we'll see what's going to be happening next. It looks let's figure out what's gonna go down, as it is gonna be MLG Shattered Temple. So Shattered Temple, the map choice here, and it is gonna be a Protoss versus Protoss. So this is Rocker's weakest matchup, as Game 3 will get underway.